Welcome to the Party Pals. It's bdubzz today. I think I got peer pressured into coming up here or something. I don't know what happened. Let me know if you can't hear me or anything. Yeah, RDC 8-bit and Chris Hidalgo's here and AB AMK. Sorry about that. Uh let's see who else. Ben Tech and MKD. Welcome to the Party Pals. GRC Mafia. We are here to break down barriers and foster collaboration and community, working towards a more secure future. And we just want to learn and grow together. Today, we're just doing the AMA, so I've already dropped the open stage link. Anyone is welcome to come up. Great, Chris. Glad you can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, so mic is required to come up on stage, but video is not required. Ask questions. You can share your personal LinkedIn in our Discord. And then share resources, discuss topics. Anything is open today. Just don't share anything you want to be public. And yeah, be nice, follow the rules. Let's see. I'm going to switch it over here. We got PBO joining us since this is apparently AMA with bdubzz and PBO, so we are here.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So what's going on today, PBO?
Just working, trying to make it to the weekend.
Make it to the weekend?
Yeah, make it to the weekend, yeah.
I mean, it's Saturday Eve. It's the weekend, right?
Almost. Got a few more hours, but yeah, getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Yeah, I'm still trying to energize over here. Wake my brain up.
Yeah. Me too. Oh.
Oh, we already have a question. Look at that. Bentech coming in hot. What technical skills have proven to be the most valuable in your GRC work?
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
First.
I'm gonna let you go first, PBO. I need to think about this a second.
That's fine. Being tech, I'm gonna do it at different levels. Beta, I've probably been doing this as long as Beta's been alive. So for me, it started off. He did say technical skills. Let me read that. What technical skills?
Technical skills.
Okay, yeah, I was branching off in another way. For me, I got a lot of different skills. For me, I started off as a programmer, so I did a lot of purple team because most attacks are done on a web server. So those skills, because I've done Java, JavaScript. So understanding those, the web server, app server, OWASP top 10, that kind of started my technical skills. But as I went on, I've been a DBA and a web admin and an application admin. So each one of those vectors are different types of attacks. So all that comes in about. Then when you move it over to the GRC perspective is I have to communicate with those teams with what type of hardening I want to use. We were talking about STIGs yesterday, CIs checks. So me talking to programmers, I understand their language because a lot of times people try to BS you. When I talk to the cloud infrastructure team, I got a few AWS skirts. So those technical skills, they're used in different levels of because we got to do GRC with all those teams. You got to harden the cloud, database, web server, OWASP top 10. Now we're in the cloud. So I think each one of those skill sets can be used in different layers.
So for me, I have a bit of an irregular path to cybersecurity. I originally wanted to be a pen tester when I was trying to break in. And so I was studying, I went and got my PJPT. I was in Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. So I learned about all kinds of different attack paths and vectors. And I feel like that was really helpful for me in my GRC work, though, to kind of understand that perspective and that side of things, and working with dev teams and stakeholders to help communicate, but also like, help explain to them the risk. And I mean, having that foundational level of technical knowledge isn't, it's really going to help you better communicate with everyone from the GRC perspective, as well as just like you yourself having a better understanding of what these risks actually mean, right? So,
Then too, the other part of that, he said technical, but you got to communicate with management because a lot of times they don't understand it. So you got to make them aware of certain type of attacks because they got to put money up sometime. Why should they upgrade this database? Why should we do this cloud infrastructure? So you have to be able to communicate management, technical to business. And it took me quite a long time to kind of figure out that communication to make it make sense.
yeah, you really have to have like the technical knowledge and skills as well as that business knowledge. And so you can translate between the two because it's definitely two different types of conversations there.
The higher I go up, the less technical I talk. That's like,
But you have to take that technical information
Mhm.
and be able to translate
You
to
do.
those people higher up.
You got to be able to, the trick is you got to be able to take that and put some risk on it, then put some risk into some dollars, right?
Yeah, I was about
Oh,
to say, turn that risk into money.
yeah, so a lot of times, usually I leave that to the CIO and the compliance director, but I got to communicate them so they can communicate it up because a lot of those guys aren't really technical savvy. A lot of times they just deal with the management of people. When you work for large companies, at that level, it's really not the technical. They're managing people. So they expect their reports to handle the technical part of that, which me being one of the reports. So
Yeah, that was a really good question. I'm going to drop this open stage link again. If anyone else would like to join us, it's not all about me and PBO.
it's about us. Shout out to us.
Shout out to us.
Shout
That's
out to
right.
us. Shout out to us.
We hijacked Study GRC today.
Facts. I said it and I happened to see that. I'm like, oh shit, they really put me on the they put me on the marquee. I gotta show up.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't me.
I was
I
gonna kind
didn't
of be in the background, maybe an optional, but I like, oh, I'm on the marquee. Oh, well, I got.
I told him I couldn't do it, but
I remember. That's all I
I
gotta
got
be
peer
there.
pressured.
Facts. I got your back. I got your back.
I found me a babysitter
Okay,
so
I
I
was
could be
what?
on camera.
Okay. I had your back. Sometimes those resources are hard to find. Sometime on a late notice.
Yeah, I found this morning. So yeah.
Okay.
I was like, hey,
I'm that resource for my kids. Give the grandbabies to granddaddy. I'm like, PBO's not a very great granddaddy. I will show up in a pinch.
well, that's where he went, was grandparents.
Shout out to the grandparents.
Shout out to the grandparents. Yeah. I promise he's not locked up in a closet somewhere.
No. No.
Not this time anyway.
What my man Ben Tech saying next? Can I highlight
Oh
him?
yeah.
He flowing. He flowing.
Ventec looking to transition into GRC, and I'm strong in communication, but raw in terms of technical skills, improving every day. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think there's like a specific, hey, go learn this technical thing. Just find out what you're interested in. If that's, if you enjoy spending time in Try Hack Me and Hack the Box and figuring out those puzzles, then go for it. It's gonna help you. Actually, I learned a lot about DNS, which I have my own DNS configurations with my website, and I learned a lot about that and setting it up just by learning through Hack the Box and learning different DNS exploitations and risk. So, yeah, I mean, find what you enjoy and go learn it, but definitely get technical.
Yeah, the communications is, and I thought we had a great presentation yesterday. I would say learn one of those compliance because you
Yeah.
can start on the management with policies, procedure, plans. A lot of that's communication and writing skills. Everybody know I'm a NIST 800 guy, but CSF is out there. Shout out to my man Chris. He's selling me on ISO a little bit. HITRUST. I learned a lot yesterday. I always put HITRUST in the HIPAA hospital thing, but they're trying to expand. So from that communication, I would start off with one of the compliances. CMCs are hot. 171's hot. NIST, FedRAMP, FISMA. There's so many out there. Oh, shout out to bdubzz. Let's not forget PCI. We got to get PCI some love. So I would focus on one of those
I don't
compliances.
know if bdubzz wants to shout out PCI.
Yeah, PCI.
I'm PCI burnt out.
Oh, I'm with you. So I would focus on one of those and get that. That's communication, process, procedures. Then once you get that, then you can add the technical. We were talking about that hardening, different technology stacks. But in communication, I always put that on the management side. Once again, those compliances, CMC, PCI. There's so many out there. NIST guide, NIST CSF. ISO, I'm kind of buying into ISO a little more. A lot of people are. Shout out to my man Chris. ISO, he's the ISO guy. So there's a lot of those. So I would kind of focus.
I mean, I heard Chris is coming over to the dark side on NIST.
Well, I think he's coming with my realization, especially national and global companies. If you're in Europe, you got to do ISO. You're doing federal work. So they're doing multiple compliances. So when a lot of people hit me up, oh, you're NIST, but do you know ISO? A little. So I need to start working on that. I think the bigger global companies, you're trying to get that global pay. A lot of those are doing multiple compliances.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw out there that NIST is a great place to start, but it can be really large because they have lots of different publications and whatnot. As you know, much as I hate to say it, PCI is a great place to start because once you kind of have one of them down and understand the controls, you know, you can branch out and understand others a lot more quickly. So PCI is a little bit smaller. It's where I started, and you know, I don't know, Chris Whitlock, not Hidalgo, Chris Whitlock might throw some shade at me or something later, but for saying this, but I don't enjoy sitting there reading NIST docs all day. I love NIST, I heart NIST, but you know, I can read the NIST docs, but I need to break it up with some fun stuff. And for me, fun stuff is the try hack me and hack the box and figuring out puzzles. So yeah,
I think
I would recommend starting with one. You know, start small, learn it, understand the controls, because a lot of those will transfer over to others. But I have to break up that kind of studying with other things.
No, I think that's 100% correct. Pick one, master it, and once you get into a process, it's control, policies, and procedure, plans. It's just the different levels and the specificity of that. And reading NIST documents is a special skills. I don't think 90% of the people want to get down to that level. They want to touch the pieces they need when they need them. So,
right.
And really, that's really how I got into it. I was web admin, and I got the NIST part for the web server. Then that got me the OWASP 10, and somebody gave me the security policies for hardening that particular web app. So I kind of grew into it as I needed different pieces. Unlike Chris, I didn't start reading the whole, because that's a big domain. So as I started doing different things, I started pulling those pieces of NIST I need. And after 20 years, of course, it became the whole kit and caboodle. But like you said, it didn't start off as this me reading every document, because there's a ton of documents.
Yeah, and no 8-bit. I'm not getting NIST tattooed on my knuckles. That's Chris.
That is Chris.
I love NIST, but not at that level. And Ben Tech, feel free to throw out your questions.
Yeah, keep going.
I mean, that's fine. If other people throw out questions, we'll answer those too. But if you take up the whole show with valuable information, I'm not against that.
If you want to come up to Ben Tech, you can come up too. If you want to join the party, you can come up. No pressure though, as bdubzz. No pressure, but if you want to come up.
Yeah, no pressure. And you don't have to have a camera. Mic is helpful, but you don't have to have your camera on. I'll drop that stage link again just in case. Let's see.
Man, no Diaz had a good question. Yeah.
MKD, still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So not really sure where I'd fit within the cybersec world. The whole reason I got into it was privacy issues with apps, Windows, etc. So for me, I was bored with what I was doing. I wanted to learn more. I like problem solving. That's what attracted me to this industry. There's not a shortage of things to learn for sure,
Fact.
and there's not a shortage of growth. So but the other attractive thing to it was being a very small part of helping contribute and build to a more secure future, as well as understanding technology at a deeper level so that I can raise my kids up in a technology heavy world, and keep them safe. So, I mean, that's ultimately why I'm here. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up either. So you're fine.
Yeah.
You just set goals and, they can change. Keep life fluid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but
See, Chris is with NIST now with his upcoming role.
cool. But my idea is most people don't know. I would just pick a domain, learn it. If you like it, stand it. If not, you just take those skills and pivot. Because as you grow, those skills help you get other skills, right? So
Facts.
I wouldn't be like, I need to know everything or this is the path. Or if you asked me when I first started, I thought I would be a programmer, maybe run a programming staff, and somehow I did this. I was consulting at DOD. They started doing security. I got in the NIST, and the next thing I know, I'm in compliance. I really got burnt out on doing programming because when the production down, I used to get calls at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. We had to
No,
drive into
thank
the
you.
office. I was like, oh, this is not cool at all. Oh, GRC, I get paid a little better, and I don't have to go in for production. Oh, this is much better. So you just now I'm thinking about going back to engineering and doing cloud stuff. So I don't know. So just pick something and go with it. And like she says, fluid, you would change and kind of figure out which way you want to go.
Yeah, start with the things that you enjoy. And if it's not GRC, we won't ban you.
Facts,
You
facts.
can still be part of the GRC Mafia and not be GRC. It's all about collaboration and working together. So, you know, we love non-GRCers who also love GRC.
Yeah, and I think that's really a hidden skill because even if you're a cloud engineer or web tools, those security requirements come from GRC. So if you're using once again STIG, CI's checks, those requirements come from GRC. So you as a technologist, if you know that stuff up front, that helps you way ahead of the game, right? So I think those skills
Yeah.
complement each other.
Yeah, and definitely what Chris said. I recommend Jerry's GRC Jumpstart course to get an idea
That's
if GRC is a fit for you. It's pay what you can on Simply Cyber Academy. So, yeah, I mean, if GRC is not a good fit for you, um, don't leave us. But
yeah.
we understand, like, um, you know.
Those skills will always help you though.
Oh yeah, I mean, understanding the bigger picture of the security program, um, is really beneficial wherever you work. So, I
Thanks.
mean, I think it's great, even if you don't like it, to get started in GRC, um, just so that you can have that deeper understanding of the big picture. So, but do what you enjoy. You don't want to be miserable in work where you have to go to work and you hate it. And
I've been
then,
miserable for a while, so on my other jobs. They pay me super well, but go ahead.
I mean, sometimes the pay is worth the misery. So it's finding that right balance, right?
Facts, facts.
But it's not always about money either. So I'll take happiness over money any day.
I've been poor all my life, but I hear what you
Facts.
said. I hear what you said.
And then Cybersater says, gotta say, most tools communicate in tabular formats, Excel and CSV. So getting good at wrangling those and doing pivots has helped me communicate with data and get into automating processes. Definitely. That's a great technical skill to have for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I was doing some Excel earlier. I was doing some VLOOKUP, some XLOOKUP, and some pivoting before. So, no, he's correct. Hopefully, we're going to move from Excel at least to Power BI or something a little, a little better. Shout out to CISO assistant. So we
Yeah.
did some a little better than the spreadsheets, but he's correct on that communication.
Yeah. Facts in MKD. The more I understand technology, the more I feel like I'm ending up in that tinfoil hat category. Same.
Yeah, there is some truth to that. Let's see, Tim.
Yeah, and shout out to CyberSater. Becoming a member.
Shoot,
Appreciate
cool.
you.
All good.
You get special emotes when you become a member. That's the only reason I'm a member. So I can use the GRC Mafia.
Okay, shout out to 508. Oh, my bad.
Oh, you're good?
Okay, I missed
508
it.
compliance.
Yeah, that's real big. A lot of people can't get to 508 compliance, so definitely testing that. I think most states are starting to require that. Um, I used to see that a lot in RFP, so that's a good skill to have, especially with the testing. I think compliance testing slash engineering is kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben Tech says that he would come on and share, but he would come on, but I share an office and I'm working and listening at my desk.
Oh,
Yeah, no
good.
worries. But
Yep.
yeah, don't worry about filling up the chat with questions. I'm all about providing valuable information to everyone. So,
Yeah, 8-bit.
how important is it for GRC professionals to understand or use tools like vulnerability scanners, Splunk, or Wireshark?
You want me to go?
Go for it.
That's really super small. For me, most times I see vulnerability scanners and Splunk. That's usually run by our security team or our DevOps team because they're gonna set all that stuff up. Now we might look at the data, but from us GRC, we don't install and set up. One GRC team I was on, they ran vulnerabilities scanning, but most of the times that's operations or DevOps from the companies I've worked for that ran those.
Yeah, so that's going to be more like a security engineer.
Right.
Now, if it's a really small organization, you could be doing vulnerability management as well as GRC.
Right.
So it really depends on the organization and the role. Um, but if you want to take a swing at vulnerability scanners, you could check out like Nessus
Mhm.
has an open source version. I believe Splunk has a trial. So Splunk is going to be a SIM,
Mhm.
and then Wireshark is packet analysis, right? But yeah, I've played around with Nessus, Splunk,
Mhm.
Wireshark. It's a lot of fun to really kind of, especially in Wireshark, looking at the packets
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
seeing what information is actually being shared between computer systems when you're sending data back and forth. It's kind of crazy, and you
What
don't
I
know until you know.
Yeah, a lot of times from a GRC perspective, when the questions is, are you running a vulnerability program? Yes. I don't run the vulnerability
Right.
program. Right. Then two is usually there's findings of vulnerabilities, certain levels you gotta have patched in 30 or 60 days. I make sure our processes tighten our document. Now I've ran those programs, but it wasn't part of GRC. You still there, bdubzz? Can you hear me, bdubzz? Okay. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'll run it. bdubzz having a little technical issue. She's gonna handle it. So I'll just read the questions and just talk about them until she comes back. On the line, Wireshark. Oh yeah, shout out to Mad Knows DS. I've definitely been a huge generalist in all my tech hobbies. Yeah, those are definitely great things to have. But I always tell people specialists get paid, Mad Knows DS. So I would figure out which one of those you want to drill down to and become a SME at. Right? I'm a generalist, but I'm a NIST 800 SME. That's how I make my money. So I would figure out which one of those you like the best and which one of those pays the best. Unlike bdubzz, I've been poor, so PBO fat and like to eat. So PBO got to get paid in the third person, like I'm an athlete. So Mad Diaz, just pick one of those. Go into Discord too. You can reach out to bdubzz, myself, or Chris. We can get in there and get on a call if you want to drill down into that a little deeper. You back, bdubzz, or you still working on it?
Be back.
Oh, you clear, crystal clear.
That's
Welcome
really
back.
weird. It was something with Restream. It just all of a sudden it popped up on my screen that my mic and AirPods disconnected, but I could still hear, but you couldn't hear me. And in the settings, I couldn't select my mic. It was just gone. It said it was unplugged, which is not true.
I could look in your eyes. I'm like, bdubzz is having problems over there. Because your eyes were like dark. I'm like, uh-oh.
I mean, it was a great excuse to run that incident response.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, well.
It's like, oh, this is perfect. Where was I?
I left off with Mad Dog saying he's a generalist. I was trying to figure where I was.
This one?
Yep.
Oh yeah, because we were on Bentech's last.
Yeah. So then I talked about.
Yeah, and to finish my response on this one is, you don't necessarily need that for your like as a GRC professional. If it's an organization where you are only a GRC professional and you're not wearing multiple hats. But it's definitely going back to that technical skills question. It's not going to hurt you to learn it if it's something that interests you or you enjoy. Just having that kind of technical understanding of how they work.
Yeah, I drilled down that. You got
I've definitely been a huge generalist in all my tech hobbies, interests. So learning a bit of everything has always been helpful. Yeah. I like learning a little bit of everything and then, spending more time on the things that I enjoy. Chris says, working as an auditor, I would explain Nessus and pen test results to clients, so familiarity of the context of those vulnerabilities are helpful. Definitely.
I guess I usually work at I guess a little more mature, so they usually have those already in place.
Yeah, and like where I was at, we had somebody who would explain all of that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not going to hurt you to, take a look at pen test reports or vulnerability scanner reports from something like Nessus, and understand those vulnerabilities it's calling out, the mitigations, so that you can have that conversation if you need to.
And I think Chris brought up a good point because one of the things I do a lot is internal GRC. I have to do internal audits, so I got to get those nexus and pen tests to figure out what they're calling out as vulnerabilities, findings, or big holes that somebody found in pen test. So we got to put that in some kind of schedule of point when we're going to fix it. So,
yeah. MKD, if I remember correctly, Splunk has a free version you can use up to a certain amount of data. Then there's Elk, which feels like a beast to set up, but since it's built on separate packages. Yeah, I've used the Splunk free trial. I've set up the Elk stack. There's definitely some different, I think there's 3 different pieces to setting up Elk or something.
it is.
It's been a minute, so I don't remember, but I've done it. It's fun to learn for sure. But yes, at least when I tried last, Splunk had that free trial. I think you have to have a business email, which is like non-Gmail or whatever the case, but
the cool thing now is I think a lot of people are moving that to the cloud. Shout out to Log Analytics in Azure. Sentinel sits on top of that. You have CloudWatch on AWS side, and I think Josh, I was kind of elk, but he was right. I think OpenSearch is their SIM that I think that they're pushing from AWS. So once again, I think it's a little easier and cheaper because now they got the Glacier and those type of storage where it's like $1 a terabyte now, but it might take you 6 hours to get it back. So I think they're making it a little easier to spin up those SIMs in the cloud.
Yeah, and I want to shout out to my friends over at KC7 Cyber. I'm going to drop the link in chat right now. Okay. But basically, it's a already set up SIM. You can go and it's similar to like say Sentinel with Microsoft with the KQL, the words are hard. Custo query language. So if you're interested in learning some querying, investigating, they kind of put some fun stories behind it. It's a nonprofit. Everyone there, as far as I'm aware, are all volunteers that are creating these scenarios. So I enjoy going through that one.
Okay.
It's free.
Shout out to the free.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Josh. I'm glad you liked our incident response video.
Facts.
And then 8-bit. I know the issue. It's the Mac. I don't know because we have really bad storms here right now. Thankfully, because of my microphone, you can't hear what's happening outside my window, but it is pouring and loud thunder. Of course, 8-bit, you know this, but in the same geographical region there. But yeah, it's some pretty crazy stuff outside. Then we have the trash truck running amidst all of it. So thankfully I have a good mic to block that out. And that's exactly what I did. I turned off Restream and turned it back on. Yeah. Hey, Regine. Welcome to the party.
You see Ben text other question?
I'm scrolling. I'm getting there.
My bad.
I'm going through chat. I'm behind.
No, I'm fine. I thought you skipped it, but now you're right. You're right.
Blame Restream like a gamer blames the controller. Yeah, I don't know. I've been having, personally, I've been having issues with Restream lately. And then I think Chris was saying he had some issues with Restream last night. I don't think it was visible on the stream, but yeah, it's been kind of weird. So, see, vuln scanners and the like are not generally part of the day-to-day, though every org is different, but it's good to get your hands dirty from time to time to get the best context on them. Yes, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's day-to-day for our infrastructure guys, but not for the GRC guys. So.
Right. So you're not going to be doing it in your role if you are focused just on GRC and not in a smaller organization. But it never hurts to have at least a foundational understanding and get your hands dirty. It's fun too. Okay, now I'm at Bentech's question.
No, you are correct.
Can you share how you got your first GRC role? What certifications, training, or experience helped And is there anything you do differently looking back? So I got my first GRC role, and that was April of last year. It's pretty interesting. So I was looking, I'm trying to remember, I was looking for a job for like 8 months or something, that I wasn't working, and I was applying and studying and all these different things. I got my Security Plus certification, and then I got the PJPT. I was looking for a pen test spot, but I was really open-minded. Like, I was looking for pen testing, GRC, analyst, anything, at least in the cybersecurity realm. And then, I mean, I was looking at IT positions and stuff too to get my foot in the door. I sent, I don't know, like over 100 applications and resumes probably. Changed my resume like 500 times. I know that math doesn't math, but
Facts, facts.
anyways, so I did not get a single interview from any of those. It's a weird job market, and it was then too. I mean, that was only a year and a half ago. So the best thing that I did, you know, I definitely recommend getting your Security Plus if you don't have it, because that's going to set you apart a little bit, at least. I wouldn't really recommend getting any other certifications until you have experience, unless you just want to. Like the PJPT for me was helpful because it was real world, like hands-on. I enjoyed that part of the exam. It wasn't just another multiple choice. But the best thing that I did was get involved in Discord. I was meeting people on LinkedIn for a short time, but it's just social media. I really enjoy being more involved in Discord. I've been active in several different servers over time. Right now, I have the time to spend to study GRC, so I'd like to be more involved with other servers. But you know, just getting out there and meeting people, hang out in the voice channels, and get out in your local events and meet people. Go to B-sides. Then, if you can afford it, go to the bigger conferences. The best thing that I did was get out there and make friends. So that's what I'll say over and over again. So I got my first GRC job because I put myself out there. I made friends, and then I made one friend in particular who we were just chatting, and they were venting about, you know, they need to fill this role and a few different things. And I was like, oh, I could do that. And I was joking because it was GRC. Wasn't really looking, I was open-minded, but I wasn't really looking for GRC. It was a level 2 spot, so I didn't think I had the experience. But then they were explaining it to me, and I was like, oh, I could do that, you know. And I put down the imposter syndrome, and so that person was able to give my resume to the hiring manager directly instead of going through HR and all of that. I got the interview. I did well in the interview because I prepared. I studied for it. I took Jerry's GRC analyst masterclass like in a weekend. So I skipped over the hands-on portions, but yeah, that's how I got my first role. I didn't get anything from mass applying or even tailoring my resume. I did all of the above. But go make a friend, and don't have expectations either, because and then I've had other opportunities where someone just messages me up on LinkedIn and is like, hey, we met at the conference last year, a year ago, and this, and this. And so, I mean, you never know where your next opportunity may come from. So that's what I have to say on that. A lot.
Facts.
Running out of breath.
Oh, that was good feedback, and I think
Yeah.
the thing you glossed over is put you out there, write some blogs or get your YouTube channel so people
But
can find you. Go ahead.
But it doesn't even have to be that. Like, I have a blog, but you don't have to do that. Putting yourself out there could be posting on LinkedIn if that's your space, or just being involved in Discord more than a lurker. You know, I know some people, because I've been there, I've felt this way. Some people tend to be a lurker because they're like, oh, well, I don't have experience yet, so I don't have anything to contribute. I don't have anything to say. We all have something to say. Even if you're learning, even if you have a question, you know, I would avoid questions you can Google, but at the same time, sometimes you don't know what to Google to answer your question. You know, contribute to conversations, and you definitely have something to say and provide value, even if it's not from your 20 years of experience. You can have 0 experience, you know, and still contribute. So that's just imposter syndrome.
Yeah, 100%. Because we was kind of talking offline. I like to see people with less experience than me because let's be honest, PBL got some bad habits, man. Some stuff that I was
Facts.
doing. I started off doing COBOL. So, you know, over the years, I've got a few bad. So I like to see how people use new things, new techniques, new software that I haven't even used before, right? So I like to see different people because sometimes new people are coming in with some new technologies that I just haven't jumped on yet. So once again, just because you're a novice or new or have less than my 25 years, you can still add value because PBO's got a few bad habits, just a few, but I got a few. But so I think, go ahead. You want to chime in
No,
on
and
that, bdubzz?
I mean, you know, everyone brings their own unique perspective, and maybe you don't have experience in cybersecurity or even in IT. You bring experience from somewhere, whether it's another career that's unrelated or it's just life experience. You have a perspective. So if you have thoughts or opinions, or you know, you want to dive deeper into something, contribute to that conversation, and bring your perspective, and be okay if you're wrong. That's part of learning. Is, you know, um, it's great to be confident, but don't be at that confident level where I'm always right. You know, I'm not going to be wrong. Um, be open to new ideas and new perspectives, and that's one of the biggest ways that I learn, is just by talking to other people. And I have my perspective, I think one way, but things have been brought to my attention, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't see it that way, but since you bring it up to me like that and explain it like that, now I agree with you. So I think I enjoy those kinds of conversations, and just I've learned a ton from people at all levels, whether they're older than me, younger than me, more experienced than me, less experienced than me. So yeah.
And especially in IT, there's 1,000 ways to solve a problem. I mean, I could solve a
X.
problem. That don't mean it's gonna be the most efficient or cost effective. So that's where you get different perspectives. Shout out to YouTube, our AWS cloud. Everybody's got their channel, so you always learning. Because even at mine, I think I'm an intermediate, low level in cloud, but trying to get advanced, trying to get new techniques. So once again, just adding in there. I'm not going to answer this fintech because I got in before GRC even started. So, so that's kind of not a weird question, but once again, I was consulting at DoD when they got into security, and that security kind of slid me into some GRC roles because we were doing a FISMA audit that sits on top of NIST. So that's how I really got into NIST. So, um, uh, back then, I think I had my Security Plus because to work at DoD, it's called 8570. You got to have certain certifications to work certain jobs. So shout out to bdubzz trying to get me back on the CISP train that I left about 15 years ago. So, but
3 years pending.
3 years pending. Shout out to the 3 years. Yeah. So yeah, trying to get back on it. For me, certifications, when you apply, especially senior roles, a lot of those jobs require CISP. And I actually talked to some HR managers. If you don't have CISP with the seniors, you're not gonna make it through the ATS unless you like bdubzz. I knew some people, so they kind of snuck my resume around the corner. But if you don't have those personal connections, a lot of times they have those bench, because especially remote jobs, you see them, it'd be like 300 people applied, so they got to
More than
figure.
300, more like
I know,
3,000.
I
Come on,
know, I
Maria.
know, I know. A lot of those are bots, so I count them. But no,
Yeah,
you.
and that's the thing is, like, you spend the time to tailor your resume, you're probably more than qualified, but then you have all these bots that, like, match it perfectly, and
Right.
that makes it tough for hiring managers too to go through and pick the right ones because, you know, they go through and pick these, and then they find out in the interview that, "Oh, well, this person doesn't have any of this experience, and they just paid someone to make this resume for them,"
Yeah.
and they're over here on ChatGPT or Google on the side during the interview
Yeah.
and to answer these questions, and it's very obvious that they don't have this understanding that we're looking for.
Right.
So that's what you're competing against. So when you can find a way to get your resume straight in front of the hiring manager, you know, you may not always get the interview, but you're going to have a better chance rather than competing with all of those bots and
Yeah.
people who are not being ethical.
Facts. And the thing that helped, and shout out to bdubzz, she's doing that more, is because I post my YouTube sites to LinkedIn. A lot of people say, we looked at a couple of your videos. I go, really? So that kind of validates you as a SME in some people's eyes, because at least they hear you talking about a particular topic. So they at least know you have some kind of understanding of it.
Yeah, and I want to shout this out from 8-bit. TryHackMe also has a lot of Splunk, Wireshark, and Elastic. So you can go learn those things on TryHackMe without like setting up and configuring in your own virtual machine or what have you.
Cool thing, AWS, you can buy a lot of those pre-set up for you too.
Yeah.
Pretty cheap.
And then keeping an open mind is sometimes key to get your foot in the door. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have dreams and goals, but when you're trying to break into the industry, you definitely need to have an open mind. And sometimes you just have to take what you can get, and maybe you'll love it. You know, maybe you just never know. So you got to try it. And worst case scenario, you get some experience, and then you go pivot later. So
yeah, I always tell people, if you get your foot in the door, even if you don't like it, just do it to 6 months to a year, because those skills are going to help you. Real quick story is, I was at DOD. I was a programmer for 10 years before I went. They gave me the worst job ever. I used to take everybody's, because we had 500 programmers in 5 states. I would have to take their programs, compile them, and put them in test. I was so mad. I'm like, I'm a programmer. I should be programming. They giving me this crappy job. That was the best job I ever had. Number one is, I met all the programmers. Number two, the big guy up there I'm interviewing, he was super mean. Is he trusts me to build that in production, because a lot of people messed that up. So once he saw me doing that, he promoted me to the biggest team. So if I would have left after 2 months because I didn't like it. And three is, I would help the programmers because they were messing up. And the other part of that is, that let me see that most of these guys aren't better than me. I'm going to be just fine. But that crappy job helped me propel myself in the DoD. It was called Generation Team. You just build code and put them in production. I didn't get the program, and I just babysit. If something broke, I would send it back to them and tell them to fix it. So some of those jobs will help you get connections in the organization.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks, Josh. And if it gives some people here hope, in June of this year, which is coming up pretty quick, it will be my 2-year mark of trying to pivot and break into this industry. So, you know, since then, I've already got my 1 year of experience, which I did make an announcement publicly, but I don't know if everyone got the word. Wednesday this week was my last day at that job. So I'm pivoting into a new chapter. You know, I want to be able to contribute more to the community, build a more secure future. I want to be able to give more to my kids as far as my time. To me, time is more valuable than money, because you can't get time back. You can always get money back. So in the meantime, I'm looking for contract work, not like 1-2 year contracts, but more like just small projects, doing risk assessments or whatever the case for smaller organizations. A lot of it will be working with like security companies who don't offer GRC but want to create or want to keep a happy client, so they can hire me as a subcontractor. So I'm just kind of jumping project to project. That way I can work as much or as little, and I can put my time where it's more valuable for me. I still got bills to pay though, but that's what bdubzz is doing. So those of you trying to break in, I hope that can give you some hope. It may take some time. You have to be patient. You have to be persistent. But if this is really your passion, you will get there. You just have to put yourself out there and put in the work. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be rewarding. So
just to add on to that, it's a bad job market, but like
yeah,
bdubzz said, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be rewarding once you break in. And sometimes, you just got to wait for the perfect timing for you and your opportunity. But once again, don't give up. It's just a horrible job market. So
it's rough out there. So
it
go
is
make
rough.
friends. Hang out with us. You never know when someone in the GRC Mafia might know someone who's hiring, or they might be hiring themselves. Unfortunately, bdubzz can't just hand out jobs. I wish I could, but you never know. And it may be a year from now, it may be 2 years from now, it could be 5 years from now. But you never know where your next opportunity is going to come from. So make friends, build relationships.
Go to your local meetups. I'll go to
Yeah.
AWS here local. I'll probably start going through the Python meetings, but a lot of times in those meetings, people bring jobs for what they're looking for in their companies. The bigger meeting. I'm in the capital of Indiana, so when I go, they talk about this is what we have. This is how this is who we know are hiring. So like bdubzz, you just got to make a friend and go present. Even though they just asked me to present and I declined, but I probably present too. People have just been tired, so.
Yeah, so I am in the DFW area. Oh, no, I didn't block you, David. I just didn't see you hop in. I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't block you. It wasn't
no
me.
worries. I know Chris said last night, he's like, oh, I still had you blocked too, man. I'm like, God bless. What's with all these blocks?
No, I'm glad you sent that message though, because I did not see you pop in. I was in my zone talking. But yeah, what I was going to say is that I'm in the Dallas area. I am, so we have Dallas Hackers Association here. If you're in Texas, I think there's a couple other states that have the hacker associations, but I know there's like a Houston group, Austin group, and a few others. So I love DHA. That's actually where I met 8-Bit for the first time. So I've made a lot of connections there. I haven't been in several months. I'm hoping to get back very soon.
Is that where Philip's at? Is that where Philip Wiley hangs out sometimes?
So yeah, Philip Wiley hangs out at DHA. So I hang out with Philip Wiley when I can make it there.
Fantastic guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he also hangs out in the local, he hangs out everywhere in Dallas. What am I saying? But my favorite is the local DEF CON groups too. We have DC 214 and DC 940. And DC 940, I have a great relationship with them. We had someone from DC 940 come give a presentation, the OSINT talk that we had on Study GRC. That was from the DC 940 group. So definitely find your local DEF CON groups, or I tend to lean more towards the hacker groups because I like the hoodie vibe versus the, business casual vibe or whatever it is. Because bdubzz going to be wearing a hoodie.
I'm straight corporate vibe. I'm trying to get that corporate money. Shout out to corporate.
No. You can get the corporate money in a hoodie.
It's a little harder. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I'm gonna be me, and so I'm gonna be wearing my backwards hat and my hacker hoodie, and so I'm not wearing I don't do the business attire.
I'm showing up in Dockers and a polo. I'm going golfing.
Yep.
Shout out to
I'm gonna be skipping those ISSA groups and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, find your people.
Facts.
For sure.
Facts.
Oh, and I think it was, oh yeah, I definitely owe DC 940 a talk before soon. I keep saying I will, and then I bail. They're gonna come after me.
If they need some NIST, let me know. I'll back you up if they need some NIST in there.
You gonna come to Dallas and give a talk for
Oh,
DC 940?
it's not remote. I got to show up in person.
No,
Oh my
this is
God.
in person.
Oh my
So it
God.
would be my first in-person talk, and I don't have anything prepared. But
I tell you how bad I am. They offer me a in-person talk. I don't even own a laptop anymore. I'm like, I can't use my work laptop. I gotta go buy a laptop. So
I mean, this is a small group of like 20 people, maybe 30. So it's a great place. And these happen all over the country and in other countries too. You know, it's a great place to go give your first presentation. And so what if you mess up, you know?
And most of
Great
those,
practice.
they're super nice. If you mess up, they're gonna help you. I don't think they're gonna like try to take you out or something. Where some of the bigger communities can kind of be a little pissy about it. So, but the smaller groups are, But if I'm in a group, I'm not gonna let anybody attack a newbie. I would take that personal, give them the thunder.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of these people in these communities are very protective too.
yeah,
And
I've been there before.
I mean, I've seen people that people weren't treating them properly or whatever the case, and they'll call out the whole group of 100 people. I mean, they're very protective, and like if you don't treat someone correctly, we're gonna kick you out. You can just leave. Because this is a inclusive environment, and just treat people the way you want to be treated anyways. So doesn't matter who they are.
Facts, as PBO says.
Facts.
I have something I wanted to add, and I'm sorry, I'm putting away groceries, so
Oh, you're fine.
I don't want anybody to get dizzy while I'm walking around. But what I wanted to add is, a lot of people use ChatGPT for their resumes. Here's something to everyone who's asking questions about not knowing how they could tie some of their previous experience in. Go to ChatGPT or whatever your favorite AI is. Type what you already do or what you've already done in life. See how that will help you. Ask it to correspond that to GRC job, and I know GRC is really kind of a blanket statement. So maybe auditor, or do you want to go work for the DoD or something like wherever you want to possibly go, or maybe even take the job description, put that into ChatGPT, put in your skills, excuse me, not necessarily your resume, but your skills and what you've done, and see if you can ask it to help you correlate. So in a conversation, whether it's actually a job interview or whatever, but in that conversation, you can say, hey, so yes, I haven't actually done this, but I can do this. I have done this, which is similar to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is something that I do all the time. So if I am applying to jobs, you can take that whole job description, give it to ChatGPT or your favorite AI, whether it's, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, whatever you like to use. I have converted from ChatGPT to Grok lately. So anyways, give it the job description and then say, hey, here's my resume. Actually, can you tailor it to this job description? Now, when I say that, I want to say a disclaimer: redact your resume. Don't give the AI your personal information. Give it like a brief part of your resume, not the entire part. It can help you tailor it. Now, don't take what
100%.
the AI. Well, don't take what the AI says and then copy paste it back into your resume. Take it to help you
That's true.
think, right? And brainstorm. And then you can build out your resume that way. Then it's tailored with the specific skills that they're wanting in your own words, not the AI words. But then, you want to add metrics. Well, I don't know how to add metrics. Okay. I have a hard time with that too. So take that bullet point and be like, look, hey, ChatGPT, I don't know how to add metrics to this. Could you give me some examples of what metrics would look like with this particular bullet point? And it can give you some examples. And then you can take those examples and it helps you kind of see what that would look like. and then you change it to the truth. Don't copy and paste the AI, but you can use it to help you brainstorm, right? So I definitely use that as a tool all the time. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind that. I've done that myself, but I also suggest, in the sense, though, even maybe before you're at that level, I don't know. Hopefully, you've already got a resume, but if not, you
Yeah.
should be working on it. But just kind of, I don't know. I've worked at a summer camp. How would those skills help me? I dealt with kids, rambunctious kids. How can that help me in a GRC position? Oh, well, then, if you helped wrangle cats, you can help wrangle some of these
That's a
developers.
really good call out. I know there's several people that I know that are coming from like retail or food or like food service, or maybe you're just out of college and all you've done is summer camp type work. That's a great ad for sure.
And then you can put that on your resume too, as your objectives or talking points, like skilled professional with monitoring
A team.
I don't know. You just yes, some type of yes, exactly.
I mean, we were the
not a
red
lie, but
team,
just
so it's a
an
team, right?
embellishment. Yeah, just some type of embellishment of don't put cats or children there, but something like that to ensuring that people were fed. You don't have to put that. You could say ensuring that the team was nourished
Yeah,
with
well,
information. I don't know, but I'm being facetious.
ensuring human safety, or
There
throw
you
some
go.
OSHA terms in there. Shout out to OSHA.
Yeah, I was compliant and
Yes.
keeping people alive.
Facts. Oh my goodness. Let's see.
But also I wanted to. Somebody was talking about how to get in, and there's many different ways. If you don't mind, Mike, I'll give you the quick experience. I don't know if you've ever met a
Yeah,
guy
and
named
I
Carlos
want to
Guerrero, but
throw a shout out
something.
to so
Go ahead. Yes.
I
Oh, yes.
do see that we are at the hour mark. bdubzz has time, so I'm gonna hang out for a little bit. If you can't stay, I understand. I know, Chris, we like to keep these down to an hour, but I mean, this is some good conversation. So bdubzz gonna keep rolling. Hit it, David.
I'm off today, so that's why
My
I'm
last day of
here.
work was
Or
Wednesday,
I'd
so
love to participate.
I have nowhere to report to.
Oh,
I just got to go record that study group next.
well, gotcha. Well, I'll be brief. It's just the networking that we always tell people, it does work. It helped me as well. Yes, I had experience, not necessarily in information security, although I had already got my degree. And that was one of those things like, oh, I'm going to get my degree and I'm going to get hired right away because I'm smart. Why? But no, that did not happen. So, but don't be discouraged on it. Go get those. Keep learning while you're keep applying. And I had another job at the time, which was very similar as project management for the DOT here in Florida, and I just kept. That's how I said, okay, well, actually, if I'm managing these contractors, that's the same way as keeping compliance with the team that I hope to go work for someday. So make those correlations. Use ChatGPT if you need to. Network like a SOB. Ask people for 15 minutes for a 15-minute informational interview. More than likely, they'll give you 15 minutes. And sometimes it might even be they might talk longer if they like you.
Quick
However,
shout out to that informational interview. I did that. I used my network. A security manager of a big company that's headquartered in Dallas gave me that informational interview, and he called out one very important thing, is that I was using the camera at the time on my laptop. I thought it was good enough. It's a decent laptop. He was like, no, when you're getting into information technology in any form, they want you, like, when you have a decent camera that's 1080p or whatever the case, even if it's just a cheap $20 one on Amazon, it's going to make you look a lot better in interviews. And he gave me small pointers like that of, hey, this is the first thing, if I was interviewing right now, that would throw me off. Or, hey, you just talked about yourself too much because you took our entire time talking about you and I didn't even get to ask you questions. So yeah, shout out to that. And they will do it if you find the right person. So sorry, David.
No, I was just going to say I did that with Alana Boyjan, who many of y'all know,
Good people.
and she introduced me to Carlos Guerrero, who actually helped me get the position that I'm at now, same company, just because I hadn't met him, but Alana gave a quick shout out, and I mentioned that in the LinkedIn invite or request, I should say, and he gave me the time of day, and we talked, and he says, I think I have a position, not I, but we might have a position that might suit you based on what you've told me. So get your resume ready and send it over and put my name on it. And so next thing you know, here I am, and I'm loving it ever since. And I know that's not going to work for everybody, but you got to keep trying. There's a lot of people that I see that I see them writing to Jerry and they get disheartened. You got to keep trying. You never know when your break might come, but be resourceful in the meantime. Keep learning. Be nice to everyone. You never know when somebody else is watching, and that's
Facts.
true in life. But you never know when somebody else is watching, and they're like, "Well, hey, you might get that $100 gift card that Jerry gave out." But what if that $100 gift card now leads you to somebody that was actually saying, "Hey, I actually like what PBO is doing. And I see that he's got the intelligence to do this," or bdubzz, the way that she reaches out and makes connections. Boom. Next thing you know, hey, you interested in a position? You like Fleetus today. We're talking about, unfortunately, he got let go. The market is what the
Happens.
market is. Now, he'll probably get a position pretty soon because he's reached out. He's got the knowledge and the skills. And sometimes, obviously, that does help you a lot, but just be nice. You never know. Hey, he might start a position and he needs 5 different people. And guess what? Y'all been talking to Fleetus and working together. And he says, hey, I'm going to bring on Susie, Brad, Barb,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm making up names, but you get the point. So always just keep learning, be nice. I love this. I love the networking here. I love everybody, staying on a goal of trying to be better and do better
Yeah.
in this
Well,
world. And so
if
we need
this
more
is
of
your
that. That's for sure.
passion, like you're gonna get there. You're gonna get that break. Just keep being persistent and don't disappear. Keep putting yourself out there, even if it's just on LinkedIn, even if it's Discord conversations or whatever. Keep your name present, so people will think of you first. I mean, I enjoy talking to everyone here, but I will admit the people's names that I see the most are the ones that I think of first. So it just is what it is. But if you're passionate about it, you're gonna get there. And I get it. Like, we all have bills to pay. bdubzz has bills to pay. Sometimes you have to improvise and find something else in the meantime, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not gonna get there, but don't stop trying. Don't get discouraged. Now, if it's not passion and you just want the 6-figure income or whatever that these boot camps, advertise or whatever the case, like, you probably won't get there. But if it's passion, you're always going to get. When I was a kid, my parents always told me, you can do anything that you set your mind to. So if you set your mind to it, you're going to do it.
Are you going to go walk on Jupiter's moons? Oh, but you're not putting
my
your mind
mind's
to it.
not there, so it's not happening. Now, if that was a passion of mine and I really desired that, I'm gonna find a way and I'm gonna get to Jupiter's moons. So, yeah.
There you go.
I
Hey, I'd
mean,
like to see PBO start up a boot camp.
I was
I'd
nervous
sponsor
there.
that.
Nobody was talking after I finished, so it's like, mic drop or what?
No.
It's like, hopefully my mic didn't actually drop.
No.
Again.
I would have told you if you mic would
See.
have dropped, but
I'm behind over here on chat again. Let's see, Josh said, mine was just a natural move from already doing half the functions, such as TPRM, supporting SOC 2 audit processes, doing security culture awareness. After our department matured to have a GRC pod, I moved. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you can get any job within an organization. And if you're currently working not in cybersecurity, but your company has a cybersecurity team, go talk to them. Make friends, even if it's virtual. Connect with them on Teams and be like, hey, I'm really interested in, this type of position. Is there something that I could watch or shadow or learn how your day-to-day job is? Make friends with those people at work. because you never know, there could be a spot and you could pivot within that company.
Facts.
If you're already there, that's
You are-
that's over halfway there. Like if you're in a company like that, if you're at help desk, look, there's been a big push. And I don't want to discourage anybody, but there's a big push, and there's always going to be help desk jobs. So if you want to get a foot in the door, and you have no other prior real, and I'm saying real life experience, as in you haven't worked for a company that like this or whatever, right? You can go to help desk, you learn stuff, you talk to people, you pivot. Maybe that company has a bigger, security team. But anyways, regardless, if you're already at a place like that, oh, you're half the
Yeah.
battle's done. If you put in the good work and people know who you are, and then again, you still got to put your name out there. So go talk to other people and just let them know. Tell your supervisor, hey, just when I get an opportunity, if there's an opportunity, you think I could go mirror Dan for a while they're doing a couple I don't know, patch management or something. I'll come in on
Yeah.
Saturday and whatever on my own time. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just spitballing here, but that
Well,
does work.
and I
It
want to
does
throw
work.
out there too, maybe you're not in IT or help desk, and maybe you're in another career entirely. Maybe you hate the company you work for, and that's why you want to switch. But calm down, right? Maybe you're that company that you don't like working with has a security team. So be buddies, play nice, enjoy your job, and make friends with them. And maybe you can pivot into the company because you're already onboarded. So you don't have to go through those HR processes. It's an easier
Yep.
switch for the company rather than hiring someone new. Then get your 1 year experience. And then if you don't like the company still in a new spot, pivot and go somewhere else. But hey, you have experience now. So, I mean, sometimes you have to get creative.
There's no easy button. If anybody ever tells you there's an easy button, they are lying to you. They're probably going to try to take your money
There's no
and run.
easy button,
So
and you see all these roadmaps to cyber and whatnot to break in. There's not a roadmap either. Every single roadmap is different. There may be like recommendations or whatever the case. Like, I think you should go get your security plus, but make your own path and don't be afraid to do that.
Oh, going crazy. Yeah, you know what? I'm a nerd. I'm assuming some of y'all might be
No.
nerds too. I love Lord of the Rings. Yeah. I love Lord of the Rings. And so I try to tell people sometimes, you got to get to Mordor, right? You got to go drop that ring off. That's the only thing that's going to save Middle Earth. But guess what you don't know is what's in front of you. So you got to always, I say this all the time, ABR,
Mhm.
always be ready. Also, ABL, I know I got a lot of these.
Oh,
Always be learning.
I
So
was
if you
going
do
somewhere else
those
with that.
things,
Always be late. That's bdubzz.
no,
I'm always
no,
late.
no.
My bad. Go ahead.
Well, that
It
might
will.
bite you in the end
Don't
somewhere.
do that
But
kind of
anyways,
ABL. Sorry.
if you're taking that path to Mordor, you can see it over there in the distance, right? You're like, I see it. It's a huge mountain over there with this big glowing eye. It's kind of scary and all that stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But you gotta keep making that path. You gotta make your own path. Ask people here, ask me, ask anybody that even people that haven't done it. Just ask what they've tried and haven't succeeded with. You learn more from your failures than you ever do
Facts.
your wins. And
Right.
I vouch for that 100%
Yeah.
of the time.
And if it's
So
not working, try something different. Whether it's your resume or anything else that you're doing. If it's not working, change it. Change your goals. See, Space Tacos. I'm so behind on chat, y'all. Space Tacos.
can't see it either.
Well, I'm the only one that can put it up on the screen,
I don't
so
know.
I'm so behind.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
Um,
But all I see is Chris Hidalgo at
oh,
12:58 saying loud
that
and
was
clear.
a
But
long time
that's
ago. Got my first
yeah,
GRC job
exactly.
with 0 experience and 0 certifications. Took Jerry's GRC course and finally landed an interview. I'll be 2 years old in August. So yeah, way to go, Space Tacos. Shout out to tacos. Speaking of
Congratulations.
tacos, I'll
Facts.
drop our tacos command in there for Space Tacos website and Discord of resources. So shout out to Space Tacos.
And shout out to all of y'all who who have the extra time in your day to do those things. And I know I could always find time. I get it. Everybody can find time. However, like you said about goals, I had to pivot a little bit because I needed to do this, to focus more on this than that right now. And so that's going to happen in your life too. But don't get discouraged. You know, keep, if that goal is something important to you, at least keep it in, somewhere up there on a checklist or in your mind that says, I'm going to get back to this. But in the meantime, I have to focus on this before I can
Well,
never
right.
get
And
there.
you're
So
taking that big goal and you're not changing it. You're not, putting it to the side. You're breaking it up into smaller chunks, smaller steps. And, someone told me one time to make goals within 90 days. And for me, especially, I get distracted. So 90 days really can help keep me on track. If I set a year-long goal, that's more like a dream for me because life happens, things change. But if I set something 90 days or less, like I can meet that. It's a lot more realistic. And speaking of realistic, make sure you have SMART goals that are specific, measurable. A is attainable, realistic, and time bound. So that way you can actually meet them. If you set a goal that you can't meet, then you're setting your goals wrong. So shout out to SMART goals.
Yeah, my only little pushback is bdubzz is correct. You want to set some short-term long goals, but you want to have some big goals too. All your goals shouldn't be easy. So if you're hitting all your goals, you dreaming too small. So make some big goals. So there's some big goals. I think my big goals is CISP, so I got to do a little better on that one. But go ahead.
Well, and like for me, I can't set 5 to 10 year goals. I just can't. I can't see that far into the future because my life just pivots, right? I mean, I have family, kids, whatever. Things change, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I could set like a year or two. Now I have bigger dreams, but it's not like written with my goals. And they're not. None of them are career based, to be honest.
I put
So
out mine
I can
together.
set, a year or two goal and then break that down into chunks of 90 days or less. And you're not, maybe it's not. So maybe your goal is to get into cybersecurity in the next year, but right now you're trying to go get that help desk job, or you're trying to study and pass the security plus. You're not even applying to jobs. So that doesn't mean that you're not shooting for that goal out there. That just means that this is your first step. Do this, and then you can take the next step to meeting that goal. So
No, that's true. You should have some 5-year goals. You're young, but shout out to Space Tacos. 5 years go by pretty quick. That's all I'm saying.
No, it does. Yeah, like time, a year flies by, but I still can't. I mean, come on. I don't even want to think about 2 years from now, because 2 years from now my teenager starts driving. So bdubzz is stuck at 1 year. Like we're just sticking there. Yeah.
oh my God, I just learned something, everyone, that the chat doesn't go, it goes from the top down. In Restream, I've been looking at the bottom, waiting for that thing to move forever.
So actually mine, the new stuff is at the bottom. I don't know. So I can change it because I have permissions to do that.
No.
But I don't know on your side of things if you can adjust that. But yeah, the default for Restream is it comes in at the top.
Yeah.
Not the bottom.
YouTube is the bottom if you're looking at raw YouTube.
But
I'm so sorry.
Restream,
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Look at the time, Dave. Yeah,
then,
it took me a minute to kind of figure that out, but I've been doing Restream forever now.
Yeah, Josh says there's no real learning unless you're open, willing to try, and of course, inevitably make mistakes. And yeah, I mean, if something's not working, change it and learn from it. But that's not necessarily a failure either. Maybe a mistake.
I don't think it's a mistake.
bdubzz spent a month diving into blockchain, and that was a mistake because my time could have been better well spent. I was just goofing off, but I was having a good time.
You learning. So for me, it's not a mistake.
I was learning. I mean, I made bdubzz coins and all kinds of stuff. It was a test network, okay, though.
Yeah, to me, that's not a mistake. But go ahead.
bdubzz does not have cryptocurrency. Disclaimer.
Facts, me either.
Dang, Space Tacos and Josh beat me up talking about can't destroy the ring and why can't we go to Lothlorien
What
and
is
then
I saw, what is that about?
All
I was
right,
looking.
I'm gonna speed through this chat and see what I'm
Okay.
missing.
Lord of the Rings.
So best guidance is to ask questions, ask if it's okay to try this or that, and folks will steer you in the right direction. I think that's when we were talking about, like, you know, talking to others within your company. Space Tacos, your resume must be elite to get that interview. Obviously, you're elite to land that job. Facts. I mean, if Space Tacos just applied with the resume, like, mad props. Because 2 years ago, the market was still rough.
She elaborates
She's
on that.
a baby auditor.
Shout out to the baby
I'm
auditor.
getting there.
Shout out to the baby auditor.
Yeah. Thanks, Regine.
You gotta learn to walk. You gotta learn to crawl before you
Facts.
can walk, right? So, and then you gotta walk before
I've
you can
met
run.
people in the Discord, and they've been very generous and kind to answer questions and talk about the industry. Thank you. Facts. And there's so many people. You know, I'm just one person, so I prefer people to, like, go message in community public chats versus DM me directly, because you'll probably get a better, quicker response. And bdubzz don't know everything. Like, yeah.
Just add me. I'm
It's
old. I'd be
a team
struggling with
effort.
Discord. Yeah, I'd be
But yeah,
struggling because Chris usually sends people my way because Discord be overwhelming sometimes. I'd be like, no.
at PBO. Yeah, thanks, Space Tacos. The struggle hustle is real. Facts.
Facts.
Being consistent, that's a good shout out. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, be consistent in doing whatever it is. Question: what is an actual example of an entry-level GRC
Ooh.
job, or some actual examples of daily responsibilities for an entry-level GRC position? I'm sure it varies on the company size, industry, etc. So it definitely depends on the company. There's not a role name.
I got something for that.
I'm glad you have something for it, but yeah, there's not a specific role name. We've talked about this in the Discord. There's so many different roles. The last place I worked, everyone was an analyst, but not everyone was GRC. So an analyst does not always equal GRC, even if it's, you know, a lot of them are, I don't know, words are hard right now, but so it's very inconsistent. My entry level GRC job was not entry level. I don't know that, you know, there's like a specific entry level, but there's
Well,
that doesn't mean you can't bring other experience and get into it, because I did. I know other people who have. Daily responsibilities would be like updating policy documentation, going and looking at, like, auditing, if you're in the cloud, your cloud configurations, and seeing if those are secure. What do you got, David? I know you have you're holding it back.
well, I was going to say, Jason, a great question, and like Ben said, yes. So some companies, and I'm only speaking for mine right now, but I've seen it in other companies too. Internships. You can come in as an intern. You will get paid too. Now, I know there's a lot of confusion because some interns don't get paid, but at our particular business, you get paid for being an intern, and then you could still go to school if that's what you're doing. Now, if you're working another job, that might be a little bit more difficult. But if you are still going to school, our firm goes around to Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando. They go to UCF, different schools around in the area, and they talk to people there at the job fairs. So that's a great place to go. Is go to a job fair, see what you can find there. But a quick aside, you can come in as an intern, make some money, see if you actually like doing what we're doing. But there's so many different roles too. I'm only talking about it from the auditor side, where we audit bigger companies and we help them with their SOC, their high
Shout
trust,
out.
you know, or the in this 853, whatever it is that we're auditing
Shout out
for.
to this.
So there are some entry levels like that you can get your toes wet. And so look for internships, everyone. If that's something like you're not sure yet, like if this is really your calling, but you like cyber, well, GRC too. You're not going to be woke up on a Saturday morning because
Facts.
because you know, the S hit the fan, if you will, you're going to wait till Monday and be like, oh, well, poor company had a breach. Okay, so now how do we change our reporting? So there are, and that I didn't believe in entry level jobs either. Like, what does that mean? Well, I started as a staff and now I'm a senior, and it just goes up from there. But I, there are people that started intern and then become staff, and then, so there are smaller avenues to get into. And I don't know why I hadn't thought about telling y'all this before, but that's a great way to get started. Go to the job fairs, look for internships, make sure it's paid if you're
Right,
looking
right.
for some money, right? But if you just really want to help, I know people say go to churches and stuff like that, but you're not going to learn the GRC aspect of it there. You might learn some other stuff. But
Well,
anyways,
you
I
can
digress. Sorry.
like do a risk assessment for a nonprofit and all of that. And we've suggested that, but sometimes you need to like shadow someone else and learn from someone else. And if you're
Right.
doing those things for free, yeah, you can self-teach and self-learn, and you're not making any money. So, it could be a learning process, and then you could turn and ask the client or the nonprofit or whoever, and, do you have any feedback for me? How could I have made this better for you? You can learn in that way, but sometimes you just need to shadow somebody. And I think that's a great way to do that is if you can find those internships like that. One thing that I found when I was job hunting and trying to break in is I couldn't find any internships. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right places, but I couldn't find any internships that fit me. Like I've been, what is it? I've been out of college like 13 years. They all wanted recent graduates and
Right.
there was none that I qualified for. And so that's something that I struggled with as a career changer,
Right.
and trying to get an internship. So maybe they're out there. Do you have any input on that?
That was my pushback because I posted last year a bunch of remote internships. They wanted you to be in college.
Hmm.
So that I like 99% of them, they wanted you to be junior or senior year in college. And a lot of people, which kind of makes sense, a lot of people don't know if the ROI on college is the same as it used to be, right? Now we know Dave is degreed up, special, one of a kind, top tier. But I don't know if that's the path anymore. Now,
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying like on YouTube, a lot of people saying college is a scam. I'm not going quite that far, but go ahead, B.
I have a degree and I've had a degree, so I don't have that personal experience of, you know, knowing what that's like applying to jobs. I think that it does separate you from the ones who don't have a degree, but I
Right,
don't feel like it's like mandatory. I don't think you might miss out on some opportunities because you don't have a degree and this person did and all of your other qualifications were the same. But my degree is in math. So I wasn't going to like run off to WGU and get a cybersecurity degree because mine falls into that or related degree category.
right,
Um, so I think that it's definitely helped me get jobs,
right,
but like I haven't used that level of math since
right.
I graduated.
I think my only pushback, and I'll let Dave chime in. I think since the boomers are on their end and they're controlling it, most of those people have a degree. We used to get into it at DOD because they had a degree. They wanted people to have a degree. I'm helping the young people. I'm like, dude, my degree was in 1990. I did COBOL. That shit don't even exist anymore, man. So, but a lot of people, I work with a lot of boomers. That's really high on their list. So I
I,
think
I
I
think
think it's starting to change a little bit, but the
Yeah,
boomers
some
are
of
still
it may
pushing
just be a culture thing of
it. It
like
is.
that's just what we're used to.
It's an
It
old
And
could,
school thing. It's
yes.
an old school.
yeah,
Yeah.
old school thing. But yeah, if you get in, especially like startups and stuff, where people are younger, um,
I agree with that.
there's going to be a different perspective on that. For my kids, my son, my oldest, he's like, yeah, I want to go get a degree and I want to go to this school. And I'm like, whoa, 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 slow down. Like, first, let's figure out what you want to do. Like, he's 13, first of all. But, as you get older, let's figure out what you want to do. And I can help you kind of get trained or do projects that align with that and learn. And then we can work together and figure out if you even need the degree. My parents required me to go to college. It was like a deal breaker. Like, you have to go to college.
Facts.
But
Facts.
I'm not doing that to my kids because it could be a waste of money. And there's some jobs you do have to have a degree. And that's what I try to teach him is like, yeah, there's some you do need a degree, but there's a lot you don't. And so if we can get you, if we can get you working and at least in the line of some career by the time you're 18, like you'll be set. Because that's one big concern of mine for this next generation is like the cost of living and homes, and for him to be able to move out of my house one day and get a place of his own and afford that. So a little off subject there, but I think it's very in line with whether or not you should get a degree, and I think it really just depends on the job. But that perspective is definitely changing.
Yeah, I wanted to say I can now that I see the chat like I know how to, and I'm not skipping over anybody's questions. I looked, it's a lot of
Okay.
highs, and I'm with yous, and but so Josh EC, Josh, you work for the EC Council. Is that what that
Is
EC's for?
is it this
But
one?
anyways, no. Oh, well, that was one of them, and then it's the one I think it's his next one about some basic tasks because we were talking about some of the basic tasks for entry level. I don't know. It's at 1328 if that helps you. That's him. That's him poo-pooing on my
So
destroying the
1228
ring.
for me.
Oh, sorry.
Life
Yeah. Okay.
or
Roger
yeah,
that.
we run on Central Time over here.
Facts.
This
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
I'm Eastern, but I feel you.
Yeah. So that's a
Right.
lot of it right there. Now, in my and only speaking for myself and the firm I'm at, we don't actually help with the risk registers unless the client really wants to. But we're not
Right.
that level with them. We will review their policies and standards to a point too, and say, well, this is very vague. Maybe you and we can't. We're not at that level that we can assist them because then we would lose our oh my God, why did I just say it? Help me out here,
Your
PO.
license, your
Our
certificate. Yeah. Oh,
independence.
yeah. That's what I was
Independence.
going to say about that.
Crap, I can't think. Yeah, but yeah, we have to maintain our independence. So we're allowed to guide, but we can't. So we lead the horses to the water all the time, but we can't make them drink it. So Josh wrote a good one, and then Cam right after. Just what you were just saying, Miss bdubzz, about the whole internships for people a little older and not in students. I can't say for sure, Cam, whether or not we would take an intern that was not in school. So that's a great question. I'll do some
No, I ain't
research
gonna
though, and
take
next time
them.
I pop on, I'll
Yeah,
drop the
I'm
knowledge.
curious. So
But
your company that y'all hire interns or whatever the case is it always students or recent grads? Yeah.
so far, yes, it has been, and so yeah. So I mean, it might just be that that's the rule. I've never really thought to ask, but there's older people. I'm an older person that got started there fresh, new ground level. I had other experiences, of course, in life, and I know that you do too, Cam. I'm assuming, or but and to anyone. So there's a lot of different ways to get in there, though. I always tell people that just don't stop trying. If you really want to make a change in your life, there's two things that will make sure that you do that. Either the pain becomes too much that you can't hang on to what you're originally doing, or death is, that's, but let's not go there because death, you can't be doing any GRC work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got to keep on keeping on. And I really love what I do, and it is auditing. But at some point, I wouldn't mind going VC. So I already told my boss too. We also do pen testing. I said, listen, I don't want to be pigeonholed. I want to work maybe 30 hours on auditing, and then I want to go do 10 hours billable to a client for pen testing. I want to be a jack of all trades,
Facts.
master of
That's
none.
me. I'm with you. I want to be able to, I'm moving into consulting, and so my next big study is going to be getting back into the pen testing I was learning before and refreshing those skills and growing them, because I want to be able to do GRC engagements and pen testing engagements because number one, I enjoy it. Number two, it helps people, and number three, it would open more opportunities for me and my family and me being able to pay my bills. So
Facts. There was two things I want to chime in on.
Space Tacos says one of the most popular GRC entry level jobs is auditor. Yes.
And I think David mentioned it.
You can learn
No, you
so
good.
much on that.
You
Sorry,
good.
PBO. I just want to say you will learn so much as an auditor. I am learning. I love to see this company of similar size to this company that does similar job, and I'll leave it at that and say, wow, they're using Cisco or they're using AWS. Whatever the case may be, right? And it's like, wow, so there's
Mm.
75 different ways to secure, your infrastructure, and that helps you so much. There's an old rule of thumb. I don't know who said it, but I know a boss of mine used to said it before she left the company. It was 3 years in GRC is like 6 years in just infosec somewhere else or whatever. So because you're getting hit with so many different, you're bombarded with so many different things from so many
Yeah.
different companies, and it can just whoa. As long as you start to get that feel. Well, oh hey, you remember that one company we had that AWS did this and they weren't using or Google SecOps. Remember they were using this? Oh yeah. So let's see if we
Well,
can
and
make that fit. So
I think that's a great shout out. You can learn a lot of different technologies and whatever, but, and I don't know this personally, but I have been told by someone who works there is if you're trying to get your foot in the door, maybe go look for a SOC position. And I
Mm.
tried to stay away from Blue Team far because I didn't want that 2 a.m. call. I didn't want to be on call. I didn't want to be working weird shifts, but that's not every company that has that. There's some that they work regular hours and they're not on call. And now they may have a 24/7 SOC, but it's going to be like you work this shift, someone else works that shift. So there can be like work-life balance with that if that's what's keeping you away. But the thing with working in a SOC is, you're looking at all these events and potentially incidents and further, there's a lot of different, especially if it's like a security company that's working for multiple different clients rather than just one organization. There's so many different technologies that you can get exposed to, and then from there be able to decide, oh, well, I really like this, or I'm interested in that, or just have a better understanding. It's a great foot in the door there too, and you could pivot from there to GRC or anywhere. Yeah, and
No,
Josh says, I would go out on a limb and say for cyber, you absolutely do not need a degree. However, I'm only one voice, but in my experience interviewing others, I hardly looked at the EDU part of their resumes. More interested in their experiences, be in profession or voluntary, etc. So I agree that you absolutely do not need a degree. But it's going to be up to the hiring manager, up to the company and their requirements. And it's a way to set yourself apart from other people who have degrees. If they have two candidates and one has a degree and one does not, and everything else is the same, they're probably going to go with the one with the degree.
facts.
But that doesn't mean you need it to do the job. So it's like a very opinionated, it depends on who your hiring manager is. But you definitely don't need it to be able to do the work.
A lot of ATS scanning before you even get it. HR could be putting that requirement in, you don't even know it. So I see that a lot.
I mean, if you're a GitHub person, work on that GitHub with projects.
Facts.
I'm not a GitHub person. Hopefully one day I will be. I just got a lot to learn. But yeah, you can do, I think GitHub has that calendar, whatever the case, that shows your pull requests. So if you're doing a project and you have people doing pull requests or whatever from that project and helping build whatever tool or whatever the project is, it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be a tool. It could be like a blog, but in GitHub. But yeah, I heard of someone like getting a job because they had a year's worth of that calendar full of pull requests. Like it was bright green, where on days that you have no activity, it's black. But yeah, someone else here may be more familiar with that calendar I'm talking about. I've just been told and seen screenshots. So, but yeah, go get busy on your GitHub. Might get you a job.
Facts. And two is talk to people. I helped a couple people get jobs, and they just came up to me. They were like, "We're going to WGU." And like Dave said, he wanted to shadow me. And this other guy I interviewed him for, he's 6'9" and 425 pounds. I used to call him Tiny. I was like, "I need you to stand next to me because you make me look small. I'm gonna I want to look thin, but we bonded, and he actually had a master's degree in cybersecurity and couldn't get in, which I thought the weirdest thing. So I liked him. And my boss is hard ass, super hard. He goes, well, I don't know. I'm like, dude, I got his back. So once again, you connect with somebody. I've got him on our team, and now he's off doing bigger and better things. So like bdubzz said, you gotta go make a friend. So
go make lots of friends. Yeah, Brexy says the only reason they have their degree is just to satisfy HR gate. I'm gonna be real honest. Like, I have my degree because my parents wanted me to have a degree. They thought it was very important, and at that time period, yes, it was. I graduated 12 years ago, and then, you know, due to certain life events, things happened in my life, and my parents told me, you're not going to get it because, you know, statistics say that you're not going to be able to finish, whatever the case. They were being nice or whatever. They also probably know me too well, and they know that if they tell me I can't or won't do something, I'll go do it. So I went and finished it anyways. But then I didn't even need a job or work for like 2 years after I graduated. So I have a math degree because I was good at math. I spent a lot of time like talking to the counselor or whatever, trying to figure out. I started out with an art degree and learned that wasn't going to get me anywhere in life. So I transitioned to a math degree, and then I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I literally have my degree to satisfy my parents, but it's definitely helped me. It hasn't done me bad. It just was freaking expensive.
See, when I
would not spend that money again.
Yeah, it was a lot cheaper to get degrees in the 90s. I think Pell Grants were a lot bigger. I don't think people were getting those.
Yeah, see, I graduated I was in the 2000s, late 2000s in college. But yeah, it was expensive, and we didn't have WGU where you could get it all done in a semester. Man, I wish I would have been at WGU knocking it all out.
My first college degree was in a BS in business administration, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to be a manager of this particular job I'm working at the airport. Yeah, I'm going to be working here forever. I love this. And downsizing happens. Like, what's downsizing? Okay, so then I had to do a whole bunch of other stuff. This is after my military stint, my 4 in the Navy. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, what life's going to get tougher and tougher. You know, you just keep realizing stuff's going to keep coming your way, and you just got to keep adapting. But it wasn't until I moved to Florida that I actually pursued an IS bachelor's degree, and I used half of my time, or half of my. They accepted over half of my credits, is what I'm trying to say, for my first degree, and I did it. But yeah, that's the whole thing. I did learn a lot, but my company possibly would have taken me without it. But you know, those things show that you actually dedicate some time too, though.
Oh
bdubzz,
yeah,
you know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? Like, you took the time to get that degree. People look at that. You might not be the smartest candidate that came out of that school, but the fact that you completed something,
does.
that goes a long way when you're going to. So I'm not telling you go get it just because of that. If you want to, you have the financial means, the time. You like school, maybe. Some people actually like school. One of my daughters likes school, the other one not so much.
I mean,
But
if you don't have the financial
so
means, or you're just maybe not good at school, you know, there's definitely ways around it. And 8-Bit here says that they've been in tech for a little over 10 years and have no degree. It's possible, but especially in this market right now, you're probably going to have to work harder, or you're going to do something different. You know, come up with some project or that will set yourself apart from everyone else, and build those skills. And maybe you can come up with a project that contributes to the bigger community. But you'll definitely have to do stuff that sets yourself apart in other ways, I feel like.
Facts. I think, like you said, the portfolio of projects.
Yep. I mean, those hands-on skills are going to be more beneficial, more important anyways. It's just getting through that HR gate. But if you go make a friend and you can get your resume straight in front of the hiring manager, and if you have someone who can be like, look, hey, hiring manager, this person is really passionate about this. Here's their resume. I think they would be a great fit, but I'm leaving it up to you to decide. That's how you get past those degree requirements and, all the other boundaries that HR gatekeeps, basically.
Yeah, unfortunately I've been looking up GRC internships for online behind my screen, and most of them say pursuing
Facts.
a bachelor's
Mhm.
either in this
Facts.
sciences
When
or
I
yeah.
was
So I'm sorry if I brought that up to. I didn't want to or encourage then discourage. You got to know
Yeah.
what you're looking for. Don't just assume that what everybody says
And
is our facts. Like, I'm not going to lie to you on purpose, but
No.
well,
I'm
and
not
Yeah.
I
always
know
right either.
people personally who've been able to get internships that were not in college, not recent graduates. They're more, at my level, but they probably found that by having a friend that was like, hey, I know I can get you into an internship here or whatever. Me personally, I was always told, well, go get an internship. I'm like, I can't. I searched high and low and I could not find an internship for someone that already had a whole previous career and that experience. And then, I've been in the career world for 12 plus years. Like, I've already built a career and got tired of it and starting over. So,
I done had 10 different careers in IT. So that's the beauty of IT. It's a big dumb man. Like I said, I was a programmer, web admin, app admin. I did Java. I was an Oracle DBA before I got into GRC. But all those skills stack to make you a better whatever next level GRC. Once again, I think I'm gonna go back to cloud engineering. So we'll see.
yeah, no worries about the typos, Josh.
Yeah.
I personally have not seen any, so I guess I'm just
Yeah,
not paying attention.
yeah, Josh, we got better things to do than check your
Yeah.
grammar. Come on, man.
Well,
We're
sometimes
loving.
you just hit enter too fast on
Yeah.
YouTube, so
We're a loving group up here, Josh. You'll be all right, man. We're a loving
yeah.
group, man. We won't beat you up, man.
See, Brexy got their current consulting job just by talking to the director that hired me. Yeah.
Oh, facts.
And
That's it.
these people, these hiring managers, they're at your local cybersecurity meetups and events.
Facts, facts.
A lot of those are monthly. You don't even have to wait around for B-sides. So, but they're at B-sides, they're at bigger conferences, they're at everything that you could think of. There's going to be everyone there from people trying to break in to very experienced PBOs and hiring managers,
My last job, a couple jobs ago, is my manager was presenting our local cybersecurity group. He was talking about NIST. I was beating him up. I was like, oh my God, he probably gonna hire me. I was prepping him with questions. So when I went to interview me, I was like, he looks familiar. He goes, yeah, I did that presentation. He was asking me a lot of questions, but actually he liked it and respected it. But so that actually helped me to get a job. He was presenting, and at the end, you see me come up here, but I'm always trying to be nice. I usually don't beat people. I was asking him a lot of questions. So
yeah, well, I'm finally caught up on chat. So I think this has been a great conversation. We've gone for almost 2 hours now. Look at that. Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble, but that's fine. I was peer pressured to be up here, so bdubzz running the show.
president, who's gonna get you in trouble? You vice president. Who gonna get you in trouble? You the vice president.
Nah, bdubzz does what they want.
Facts. I got your back. We're gonna block Chris anyway. He been slacking. We're gonna block him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Chris was gonna be here. Anyways, I didn't know it was literally AMA with PBO and bdubzz.
Right. I was surprised when I saw my name on a marquee. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta be there. My name's on the marquee.
Oh, we have a question. Bentech, trying to get a sense of work-life balance in GRC. Are some tasks more project-based? For example, if you finish a project in 4 days, is it common to use Friday to reset or prep for next week? Yes. So at least, I mean, it depends on the job, the company, and whatever the case. But in my last job, I have to say that now. But in my last job, yeah, it's like you know, we might have some like PCI heavy time periods, but then you might have some PCI light time periods. And that's when you're working on updating policies and procedures and some of the more tasks that aren't so time-based that have to be done quickly. But typically, unless it was just a crazy week, Fridays were like, hey, we might have a couple meetings, but this is your day to like kind of reset, collect everything from the week, get organized, prepare for next week, get some study time in, go learn something, that sort of thing. Now, that's not every single Friday, but sometimes we tried to make Fridays that way, a little bit more relaxed. So
I think like bdubzz, it depends on the company. When I was doing kind of David, where external auditors, they have clients, you like on this clock. Like, so Friday, I got to get there. You know, a lot of times they're going to see their policies and procedures. So they want you to kind of do a write up to get started on it. So it was kind of like a lot of times when I do internal stuff, it's kind of like bdubzz. Okay, I did an internal audit. It's not super pressure like it is when I'm doing external stuff. Because like David said something, a lot of people don't realize as a consultant, they take billable hours very serious. If you don't have enough billable hours, your ass gonna get fired. Chime in on that, Dave. I'm gonna throw that to you. So
100%. 100%. And I'll tell you what, the customer is not always right. However, if they don't like working with you, you're going to hear from it from your boss. And then if there's enough of those that go on, well, they're not going to keep you around. But to be honest, from my perspective, I work 5 days a week, and that's why I can't join these calls during the day. But I'm off today. But during the week is because I'm
Facts.
working, and I try to listen to everything I can, like at 2 times speed, just so I can catch up with all the damn shows that I watch throughout the day. And I possibly don't tell my boss, but sometimes, you know, that distracts me some. So I even had to put that
you
on
know
hold until
this
the
is
end of the
live in
day. So
public
there's
on YouTube, right? Don't tell my boss.
uh I'm lying. I'm just joking. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's just like it's like radio in the background to
Yeah.
me sometimes. So, you know, if I'm listening to Jerry doing his talk in the morning or something. But the point is, to answer Jason's question, or sorry, Ben's question there, uh, depending on where you're at is how that's going to go. Like where bdubzz was working.
It's okay. I'm still
Apologies,
getting used to it
bdubzz.
too.
Unless that was your choice, I can't remember. But yeah, yeah. But the billable hours, yeah. So you need to hit at least 40 billable hours if you can a week. Try not to be like me where I'm doing too much, but I don't even recognize it. So I love working remote, but that's something else for everyone too. You might get a remote position in GRC, great. However, you got to separate when that clock, the end of the day comes, you really need to get up, move, and go, as in move out of that office and go somewhere else. Because if not, and you're just going to the restroom where you normally go because it's your house, or you go to the fridge. Next thing you know, it's 8 o'clock at night. Like, why am I
Yep.
still working? So that's something else people need to think about too. That can be for any job, not just GRC. But anyways, that was a quick
and
aside.
Dave's 100% right. They're a lot younger than me, right? I'm divorced. I don't got kids. My grandkids old. I'm not cool. So for me, this is really the people time for me because I'm a curmudgeon. I don't come out of my house. I don't travel. So for me, it's different. So it gives me a purpose for me as I get older. That's why I came to Discord and YouTube, is to help people. So shout out to Chris and bdubzz. They be working a lot. I know they're like, PBO ain't got shit to do. He on every stream, just popping up. What up, PBO? See, I know bdubzz be, damn, PBO coming again. PBO's available. So, it's just where you're at in your life. But once again, that's why I wanted to put Dave kind of on the spot. Billable hours when you consult, that's a different game. PBO a little too old for that game. Internal, I'm kind of like, I did my work, I did my reports, I'm working on some Power BI, I'm looking up some cool stuff. When I was a consultant, billable. Where your billable hours? You got 37. You're a little short, PBO. What's going on? We're gonna have to talk to you in your review. So that's a different game.
Why are you billing to admin time again, PBO? Oh, that? Did we approve
what's going on,
that?
PBO? The clients, like you said, the clients don't like you. You're not personable with the clients. We like you, but like you said, if clients don't like you, like you can't be thunder punching clients. You be fired. So that's a different game, and it could be real stress. And two is I'm at a level, and I declined it, and I try to get Chris and younger people is you should go to Big Four and work your ass off till they work you 12 hours a day. Because after 3 years, you can leave and go name your price, but you're gonna pay a cost for that.
Yeah, facts. This last question, what is a simple reason why policies would need to be updated? Just new regulations, and Space Tacos pretty much hit it.
What's Space
But
Taco?
yeah, these policies have to be fluid with your business. Sometimes the business goals might change, but also keeping up with regulations and frameworks that you're trying to adhere to. There's all kinds of reasons why these need to be updated, but the policy is what drives your security program, and everything bleeds out from that policy. So from your policy, that's where you come up with your procedures to meet those policies, and that's where you get your training, and that's how you can ask for money in your budgets. Well, hey, I need X amount of dollars because I have to do this to meet this policy. And so we may not always decide what has to be in that policy, but we use whether it's board stakeholders, their higher level goals and whatnot, as well as regulations, frameworks, or whatever you're trying to line your policy up with, and then you update those. And a lot of regulations require these to be updated every year. And sometimes that's an update, sometimes it's just reviewing it and putting a new date on it. So yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're looking at, that's what we tell our clients too. Sometimes just you might not want to change anything. That's on you. We understand that, but please review your policy. Put a little a box down at the bottom of the policy or at the beginning, wherever you want to put it, that basically says it was reviewed by somebody in upper management, and no changes were made. That's how simple it could be, and now you're in compliance, and
Right.
let's keep rolling. But I did remember this from my CISA training policy, and I just know this, but policy is high level. There's never going to be anything to do's in there. It's always it's just highest level.
Right.
Then it's your procedures. And as Josh mentioned, back to Jason, I think it was talking about standards. So that's a whole nother thing, right? But you need those policies to put the procedures in place, and the procedures
policies
are how you do
are
it,
like
so.
your overarching goals to meet those business needs or goals or whatever they are, and then your procedures are here's your to-do list that lines up with our policy to help meet the goals of the policy. In simple terms.
Dave's 100% right, but I see a lot of companies, and I actually put this in my course. A lot of companies put policies and procedures together, and that just really bugs me. I say cut, but
yeah,
just put them in one document. I hate that, but go ahead.
Sometimes for smaller companies, that's easier.
It is.
It works. Now it's not going to work for a big corporation, but it can be done to have a policy and procedures. I see it all the time, but it really just depends on the company and how it's structured and what works best for the company.
PBO is
all about.
And you know what that does at the end of the day? The policy keeps their legal ass out of trouble most of the time. If they're following, if they're following their policies and their procedures, and accidents still happen, you now have something to fall back on and say, oh, well, Bob over there didn't follow the procedure, so Bob can be let go legally, and we don't have to worry about Bob suing, et cetera, et cetera.
And two is NIST, I think we got to do it every 3 years unless new regulations or a major update. But I'm like, Dave, I try to get them to look at it every year. We can just have them sign it and date it. Then that's reviewed. Everybody's, on pack. So long story short, I'm trying to do that in SharePoint. You can check in, and they got actually approval process inside Office 365. So I'm going to try to send it to who the VP's responsible for it. They approve the policy. Then they can automatically sign it and date it. Then Dave, the auditor, can come through and check it and make sure that happened.
Yeah, we are at the 2-hour mark. It's been a great conversation, and yeah, I see you, David.
Shout out to wife.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up and shut it down. It's been great. I've enjoyed hanging out with everyone, but I do have a couple of things to do, even though I don't have a time to be there. So take advantage of the kiddo being,
off life,
gone and whatnot. So a little bit.
Well, thank you all for your time. I love these. These are great. I learned so much just from chatting with y'all and reading chat and so forth, especially when I learned how to read from chat.
I learned a ton from everyone here as well. It's a great
appreciate
time.
it. I appreciate the team. Y'all too.
Y'all
Happy
have a great
Friday.
day, and I'll
Yeah,
see y'all
and
around.
thanks,
Yes.
David and
Enjoy your
PDO
weekend.
for hopping up here and hanging out. But yeah, everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you all later. GRC Mafia.
Peace.
If I can figure out how to end the stream, I'll do that.